They taught us to be good. And to be good, you must cut parts of your desires off. But what if your desire was never the problem? What if your curiosity wasn't chaos, but truth? This woman refused to wait for the world to understand. Instead, she built a global movement that lives behind closed doors. Not in secrecy, in sovereignty. She invites women into their sensuality without shame, into their queerness without apology, into their wholeness without needing to explain. She reminds us that liberation doesn't come from theory. It comes from experience. It comes from letting yourself want fully, freely, fiercely. This is the conversation most women have been too afraid to have until now. Thanks to her. Ladies and ladies, welcome Genevieve LeJeune. This is Things Your Mother Never Told You. Let's begin. Genevieve, I am so thrilled that we are having what I feel like is a long-awaited conversation. You didn't know that I have known about you for a very long time, and I'm so excited you're here.
Thank you.
And why don't you tell our listeners a little bit about what you do, and then I'll tell you about how I've known about you for so long, and then we will proceed from there.
Okay, sure. Nice to be admired from afar. So I hadn't known that. Okay, so I'm the founder of a community called Skirt Club, intended for bi-curious and bisexual women.
Yes.
Of course, that includes women who are questioning and mostly still consider themselves to be straight, but wanting to experiment in a safe environment.
Yes.
We are open to women only, and purposely to allow women to get into their body and feel their way through their own true desires. Which I'm sure, as you know, often get neglected because we're so often performing, and hence the reason I make my space female only.
I mean, just hosting female spaces around, I know exactly what you mean. When you put women in a room where there's no idea in their mind of a male gazing, they're able to drop that performance and just really be naturally in their bodies. And what you see happen is so transformative.
Really?
It's so freeing.
Yeah.
It's incredible. Well, the way that I knew about you is many, many years ago, I had worked with, came to become friends with first, Holly Richmond.
I love her.
Shout out to Holly.
Dr. Holly.
We love Dr. Holly Richmond. I actually taught a sex and long-term relationships course through the institute that she is a part of about 2 years ago. And she's like, we're really looking for people who've been married a very long time and are still having sex with the same person. And we can't find many of them. I'm like, okay, well, I'm happy to sub for that. So I found out about your work through a dinner that I was at with Holly. And I was blown wide open when she started talking about the concept of this work. I was like, well, of course. Like, now that I'd heard it, everything about it just made so much sense. And I started referring my clients in your direction.
Oh, thank you.
Yes. Many of my clients who were having these conversations around questioning somewhat their sexuality and this really strong and ever-present desire that they'd had been denying for years and years and years, decades often, about being with a woman. And they wondered how and where would I even explore that? And it was like wildfire. I'm like, I know exactly where you need to go. And so this is how it came to be that I found out about Skirt Club and have been forever deeply, deeply intrigued and fascinated, and have not had the good fortune where it has aligned for me to ever come to any of the parties. But I am very, very excited about this possibility you and I have talked about. So tell me about this first and foremost. For people listening, I'm like, okay, Skirt Club, like what exactly is this? You have elements to this. So it is a membership. Women have to join to become a part of.
Yes.
And you have mini skirt parties or events. And then you have like the skirt parties, the real parties.
The signature
Tell us,
party.
yes, the secret parties. Can you tell us about what is a mini skirt event?
Okay, so mini skirt is typically held in a bar or somewhere just more approachable.
Yes.
And it's helpful if you're a first timer or more nervous about who the community involves and want to just get to know it on a more sort of Thursday night casual couple of drinks basis. And we often host burlesque performances and play a few sensual games. But typically it's a clothes-on event.
Yes.
Versus the signature party, which is very much a lingerie-cladded clothes-off event.
So that's one of the defining features, is one is more clothes-on and the other is clothes-off behind closed doors, and the other's in a more public space.
But it's always a private hire. So even if it's a bar, which will help you feel more comfortable because it's central downtown, easy to get home from.
Yes.
We have hired it privately, or an upstairs part of it, or a section that's, again, closed doors.
So tell us, what was it that sparked this hunger to take this and turn it into a lifestyle, a business, to start speaking about it and really opening the doors for women to walk into this world?
Quite simply, my own story.
Yes.
You know, I was working in finance and very male-dominated environment. I definitely missed that feminine energy in my life. I was also very aware that I was bisexual, but could not express it to my friends. No one really understood. And this is a long time ago, like 2012. Things are very different now, I hope, because Skirt Club has helped that some way. But yeah, I wanted to meet women like me, and I couldn't find them. There was a lot of stigma attached to the label. And so I went to a play party with my boyfriend at the time, and there I met two women who became my long-term friends and are still members today. And they immediately encouraged me to pursue the idea of Skirt Club. And we went from our first party of 15 women to now typically a 100-person event. Yeah.
And you have, 26,000 members around the world?
Yes, that's right. Yeah.
Incredible. And in how many countries and cities?
15 countries or 36 cities. Yes. So Europe, US, UK, Australia, mostly, yes.
This just exhilarates me from every possible place. I mean, as a therapist who's been working with women for decades now, just everything about your message and your work and everything about you, it is like endless liberation. It's truly like, if I were to create a visual of it, it's almost like a woman who's been shackled to a storyline of what her life was supposed to look like as a sexual being. And then you come along and you just gently release those shackles and show her come this way.
Yeah.
There's a whole nother door you've probably not even thought that you could walk through.
Right. Well, you don't know what you don't know. And I think it really shakes women to the core. I still, to this day, find my greatest joy in Monday mornings when we receive the emails to thank for, just so thankful for this change in direction, the confidence they've now found in themselves, the realization that they are just as sexual as their male partner. They just didn't know how to recognize it or to ask for what they wanted because they didn't know what they wanted to begin with. And there's the problem. They never checked in with their own bodies. They were never given the chance or the environment to feel safe enough to do that.
So often it is through another woman inviting a touch or getting involved in some kind of sensual play with her is where she begins to realize for the first time, wow, I didn't even know that was something I could like or enjoy, or I've never been touched like that. In that way.
Indeed, sensuality, for a lot of women, is sex. It's, from the moment she starts to get ready for the evening, to apply her makeup or choose what to wear, she is entering that zone of all the possibilities are open to me tonight. And I have permission to enjoy for myself. Yeah, I think sex is too easily put into this one category of penetration, and it's just not that. For women, it's just not that one thing. It's wide variety of activities and thoughts.
Have you read the book Untrue by Wednesday Martin?
I'm in it. Yes, I'm chapter 6.
Of course you are. And of course you are. Okay, well, maybe this is all making sense now too. Of course you are.
Yes.
Okay, so her 20 years of social research and science have shown that the appetite and desire menu, if you will, for a woman is much more extensive than the average man.
Yeah.
The things that a woman fantasizes about, desires, but we've been culturally conditioned and societally bred in a way that we internalize it. We don't tell anyone about the thoughts or fantasies we have, and we actually pathologize it and think maybe something's wrong with me that I think these things. maybe I'm not supposed to. I'm married now. I'm supposed to have thoughts of only this one person.
Purity.
The purity.
Yeah, so the book, Dr. Wednesday Martin studied bonobos in the wild.
Yes.
And she was an anthropologist, and this was where she for the first time recognized that these particular species were so inhibited. And she said when she came to Skirt Club, that was the second time she saw it for real, that women were just taking what they wanted, and there was complete disregard for how it was seen or judged, because they were free, like truly free. So, yes, Untrue, Chapter 6 is named Bonobos, and it's mostly about Skirt Club.
This
and I love it.
It's such a full circle moment. Oh my gosh. I love this. I love this. I was actually, interestingly, it's so funny how the world all comes together, but I was on a call with your team the other day about something that is coming and offering, not crazily because of scheduling, not until 2026, because the schedule is just, my schedule is crazy, as I know yours is. But all that to say, they were sharing with me a really beautiful anecdote of something that had happened from a party, I think that weekend before, where a woman had wrote in and shared that she was so shocked that in her mind, the variety of body types and styles and shapes and ages and colors, and it all just seemed to, like, it was all this beautiful palette, where in her mind she'd been conditioned to think that there was one kind of a woman she'd been attracted to. But that night revealed to her that, in fact, there was this endless, beautiful spread, no pun intended, this endless, beautiful feast to choose from. And I just thought that was so beautiful for them to share with me, even this understanding, this woman arriving, thinking there was a type, if you will, and then walking in and being floored at, like, the variety of beauty and sensuality, just being in the presence of that many women. I was like, wow, I'm equating it to even, like, my events, and that similar thing happening where all of a sudden it's almost like, without the exact words to describe it, it's almost like image, if you will, dissolves away, and it's all these beautiful energies and souls and just exchanges happening in the room.
I think you named it. It's energy. You know, that's who you are. It's your energy. And as women, we forget that sometimes. But who you show up as is your beauty. Saying that, we still spend hours choosing what to wear, and
it's so
still
fun.
Yeah, it's still the most, like, conversational point on our website and through our customer service. Please help! I just don't know what to wear. Like, and I always say, just come dressed to undress, and then you get to choose when you, or if not, you know, there's obviously no pressure there when you wish to undress. Women dressing for women, of course, is a whole separate category to dressing for men.
Tell me more about this.
Well, we spend a lot of time on ourselves because it feels good to do that, right? It's like a process, it's like a ritual. It feels good to prepare yourself. And mostly we're doing that for ourselves.
Right.
So it means so much more when it's noticed and complimented, and the detail and the effort you've put into your makeup and hair and the way you've put together the pieces you're wearing, when it's appreciated by other women, which they do so well. I mean, there's like an hour of cooing and ahhing, you know, between like 8 p.m. and 9 p.m. when we first arrive.
That feels so erotic to me.
Everyone just gets high off that, you know. It's great feel-good factor.
Because we have that understanding and that appreciation of all that went into it. And we do, I think, naturally, whether we want to admit it or not, we desire to be desired. We desire to be noticed and to be, and as my producer, when we see each other when we're out and we travel a lot for work together, or we're going out after a long day and we both put that effort in to be ready for the evening, and we see each other, we're like, oh no, but you and this, and we just, there is something very different. It was interesting because I had gone with my husband to something a couple of months ago, and it was one of those rare nights where I had a little more time than usual to really get ready. And we were in a hotel, which always makes it somehow a little extra special and magical. Like, oh, I'm taking on like a new energy. So I'm really feeling myself this evening. Like, I'm really like, I'm not a psychologist. I'm not a mother. I'm not a friend, a sister, a daughter. Like, I'm a lover tonight. Like, and so I'm feeling myself. I walk out, and my husband is sitting at the desk in the hotel room finishing up an email on his phone. And I walk out, and he looks up. He takes his glasses off. He's like, all right, ready to go? And I said, let's try that again.
Take two.
Let's try that again. So, and he started laughing. He's like, oh, yeah, you're right. So he sat back down, put his glasses back on. I walked back in the bathroom. I came back out. I'm like, I'm ready. And he stood up and he like took the glasses off. He came and grabbed me. He's like, oh my gosh, you look ravishing. I'm like, good answer. Because there really is something, I think, in relationships where we start to take each other for granted. We don't see each other through those fresh eyes. So I'm equating this to walking into a room, the door's open, and there's all these women. And you walk in, just that feeling of eyes and that feeling of feeling desired and special and noticed, and then someone taking the next step to share that with you.
Yeah. You've trained your husband very well, by the way.
I was like, we are not walking out of this room until I feel desired.
You should definitely give like a whole like advice on that, because getting him right gets you right. And
it really does, because but here's the funny thing, Genevieve, a version of me 15 years ago would have walked out. He wouldn't have noticed. I would have spent most of the night in my head like, oh, he's not attracted to me anymore. He doesn't like what I'm wearing. And it would have ruined the whole night. It would have contaminated everything. But in fact, in that playful energy, we got to laugh and completely shift the entire evening, which was really magical.
Yeah. And all we have to do is communicate it.
That's it.
Right. It's really that simple. Instead of, like you say, ruining the whole evening thinking about what he didn't do, although how could he have known? He didn't know he was meant to.
Right. Yeah. And we have this magical fairy tale thinking that people are supposed to know what we want and like. And I am a firm believer, like, the greatest gift you can give somebody, even at the skirt parties or the, experiences, is clear communication. Like, it's the greatest gift. Nobody really wants to play guessing games if they have the choice of being guided or told what they like. Like, I think it's just a beautiful gift to give to people.
Yeah.
So we were at dinner a couple of weeks ago,
yes.
And you said something that like really was fairly earth-shattering for me, interestingly, because I was like, wow, I want to hear so much more about this. Yeah. You said you've noticed a trend at the parties in the last couple of years where women are not consuming or engaging with alcohol in the way they used to. What do you think that's about? What do you think's going on?
Yeah, I'm trying to figure it out, because it's really just been this past year, or maybe less, 6 months, I'd say. But we noticed we had all this alcohol left at the end of the evening, and we were wondering why.
Yes.
And granted, like in the first 8 years of running Skirt Club, we were very aware women are extremely nervous. And the first thing they want when they arrive is just a little glass of bubbles or something just to take the edge off, because they've come alone. I love how your series is called What Your Mother Didn't Tell You, because this is exactly what your mother told you not to do. Go to a party by yourself, to meet strangers, to get naked and make out with all of them. So they're shaking at the door. And I try to make sure I'm the first face they see, because usually they know my face, and that can help calm the nervous system. And then bring them in and just have the hostess take them for a glass of bubbles. Yes. So that calms them down. And it has been such an important crutch. So there's two things here, not just that women are drinking less, but that they don't need to drink. And that says a lot about their confidence. That means it's growing. And we are achieving the thing we set out to do. Oh. Yeah. So I'm really happy about this fact.
I bet you're so happy, because it's coming from really not the influence of the alcohol making them brave or courageous, but like really from a place of choice and agency. Like, I desire this. I'm going for the thing I desire. I don't have to feel inhibited. I don't have to feel like I need this liquid courage to claim that I fully want to be here. And I want to, and as a matter of fact, not only do I want to be here, I want to feel it all.
Yeah, and I can handle it.
Yeah.
Because it's a lot to handle.
Well, this I'm only imagining. I'm just imagining because of just the sheer sensuality of women and their experience. When their body is titillated, when all of their senses, I talk a lot to my clients about sensuality really being through the vehicle of the five senses. Like, we're not waiting to get to the act of sex to be turned on. Like, how do we live a turned on life? Throughout the day, through our five senses. So by the time we are engaging, we are already totally lit up from the inside out. I'm just trying to imagine walking into this room where all of this unbelievable energy is happening. And I would not want to have that subdued or any of that, the edge of that taken off, because I think it would just be like, wow, to just witness all of these women in this room together.
Yeah, I mean, that kind of, you don't want to blunt that kind of energy because it's so special. And there will be few times in your life when you get to experience it.
Yes.
It's not just your own energy, you're absorbing everybody else's around you. And it can make you giddy, like it can make you so high.
I bet.
And it's sexual energy too. So
Yes.
the highest form of vibration. It's very special. It's
and
very
I
hard
love
to
your
describe too.
I can't. I was going to say, if you could put like words to it, what words would you use to help someone understand the experience inside?
I mean, over the years, there's been different ways of describing it, but there was certainly a sense for a long time of women getting away with it. You know, this naughty little secret that we shared.
Yeah.
And everyone was giddy on that fact. I don't think it's much of a secret anymore. I think women are very open about enjoying sexual experiences purely for the fun of it.
Yes.
Whether or not they're in a relationship, or it's her choice actually, as long of course it's consensual. But so that's gone away a little, and I think now it's more of empowerment. You know, I choose to be here, therefore I choose to have my enjoyment, my pleasure. Yeah, so it's a very much more grounded energy now.
Oh, yes. Rather than this, like, I really need to have multiple glasses of champagne before I can even begin this. It's like, no, this is coming from a real place of choice, a real decision that I want to be here.
So I think we've just cracked it then. It has been troubling me what's going on here, because I need to understand her decision process. And I think it's this place of now society is on my side. I am accepted for who I am. Therefore, I do not need to blunt my feelings. I can just be who I am, which is a perfect place for acceptance and love, right?
What a victory. That's all thanks to you. Had you not opened the doors to this beautiful idea?
Oh, yes. Well, like,
how does it feel to be liberating this many women sexually?
Wonderful. And I'm honored to be able to do that because you've allowed me to. You know, it's not that I asked you, I just provided the space and you came. So I never planned any of this, you know, it just really happened and I went with the flow. And the more women asked, the more I provided. And so I've just gone at this pace. Then they asked for a lot.
And so what are you doing with that, the a lot that they're asking for? Are you able to meet the needs? I mean, now you have an online component where you have experts in all kinds of sexual health, wellness, somatics, teaching and offering like that level as well, because this idea of like, how do we bring these women to even more wholeness, even more connection? Because sometimes maybe they're slightly disembodied or feeling really nervous or not fully connected to like their body, and more still in that performance energy of like, well, what if I don't look a certain way? Or how do I act when I get there? As opposed to like teaching these women how to live so connected to source and their body that they trust that the experience will be led from that place. So now you've brought in this online component, what, just like about a year ago, or?
Actually, during COVID, we sort of started doing online events, more just to bring the community together. We called it Skirt Club in Chastity, and it was quite funny. We had topics to talk about, but you know, after 20 minutes, we quickly started going into other directions around. Have you ever tried this? Have you ever done that? Look at my lingerie, and then you know. So it was quite amusing, but now it's far more structured. It's more an events program, online and offline. You know, we've always done in real life events. That's what we know best.
Yeah.
So, you know, we're taking a section of that online with people like you know, specialists who come and talk about ways in which to embody. And that's very helpful for those who are on the fence about, should I go to an event? And a lot of them are very scared. You know, they can't quite make that final decision. But when they see everyone else in the room, like in the same boat as them, you know, as a community, they feel stronger. So
I bet. Now, what would you say is the biggest, as a businesswoman, because this is a beautiful thing that you've brought to the world, and the reality is you are running a business. What have you seen be the biggest block as it relates to doing something as revolutionary as what you're doing? What's been the biggest block for your business, or the biggest hurdle that you have worked through or are still kind of managing through now?
There are a few.
Okay.
I still state this is the hardest business I think anyone could ever run.
I can't imagine.
I'm surprised I'm still going half the time, because it's just, I'm just putting out fires a lot of the time, and things that any other business just would not face.
Can you give us an example?
Banking, I'm on my 5th bank account.
Banks don't want to do business? Or?
Right. A business bank account, you think, is a very easy thing to open. We've had 4 closed. No explanation, of course, and some would even freeze our money.
What?
I'm really not the only one. And you talk to anyone in this industry, and they've had the same issues. I'm talking across both the US and the UK. And then, of course, payment processors. I think everyone's aware now that your average processor like Stripe or PayPal will not work with sexual themes or adult content. And, it's hard to... Skirt Club is a community for bi women. Does that mean that we're sexual content? I mean, it's such a great area, but they don't want to discuss, right? So you have to find providers who are outside the norm. And,
right.
That's difficult. So other than, your usual, like, just systems, even MailChimp is throwing sort of anything high-risk content off their platform now as well, which I just find the world's shutting us down, unfortunately.
And what do you plan to do about that? I don't think you're going to let that happen. I don't think you're going to let that happen. What can we do to support this?
This is my sweet spot, actually.
Oh, good. Oh, good. That assassin priestess is coming, and she's like, absolutely not. You're not letting this go.
This is a way to rile her. Yeah. So, other than those unprecedented roadblocks, there's also the shame and stigma that your average person can't quite get their head around why women would want to do this, and can be very judgmental. And of course, social media is not a place you can talk too openly. We have to be very careful about what we say, and at the same time, we're not really saying anything. We're not saying anything wrong. It's. I always get concerned for young people who need a safe space.
Yes.
And can't find us. I mean, how do we reach them? I can't do any form of real marketing. Yeah, that upsets me.
I never even considered that. I mean, first of all, the banking piece absolutely floors me. That is so unbelievable. Just to freeze your funds?
Well, yes, I actually went to the Ombudsman in the UK in the end to release my £8,000. It was 20 to begin with, and then they slowly released bits of it. And with no explanation, it took us 2 years eventually to get everything back. Yeah.
This really speaks to the system of taking something about women and their freedom, women and their liberation. How many avenues can we go to silence her, to roadblock her, to stop this, to make it so difficult that she's just entirely too exhausted to even continue this pursuit? We are going to come in every avenue. Oh, wow, that is so fascinating. And so this piece around marketing, I hadn't even considered that, because truthfully, my bread and butter, everything comes from online presence. Like the majority of women who end up hiring me come through Instagram. So I'm trying to imagine, if you can't utilize that as a way to spread the word, it's like boots on the ground people, I'm imagining, has a lot to do with how the word gets spread.
We are word of mouth primarily.
Yes.
Yeah. And being invited on something like this with you will help us. Will help a lot.
Yes.
I could not do this on my own account.
Right.
The account would be banned for sure. So, and this is just a general problem of course everyone in the sexual wellness industry. We're all in the same boat here, which is kind of why I really want to invest more in our own technology, so that we can have a bigger platform that can be scaled, and where everyone can speak just authentically about what it is that they're offering, or truly trying to communicate without using words like sex to disguise the truth. I don't want women to hide anymore.
No.
There's no need.
No.
And the more we're pushed down, the less this world gets itself back to peace. We need to bring our balance so that the world can activate properly.
Yes.
That's how I see my mission in life. By the way, Skirt Club was never about sex, just so we're clear.
Please say more about that, please.
It gets that reputation because the press love to talk about lesbian sex parties for straight women. I think I've seen that headline 5 times now. Male journalists in particular love that. It's
because that's the scope at which that's all they can imagine it would be.
Right. And it's great clickbait, which I renamed clickbait because it brings in great advertising revenue. I understand the model, and it's definitely done us a huge lot of favors bringing people in our direction. That's how they found out about us. But as a result, we're now known as Skirt Club, the sex club. And of course, in reality, I'd say a quarter of our events were that, and the rest were teachings
Yes.
and somatic practice and connection and community and women being able to really just embrace themselves. That's not sex. But so I do want to invest now in particular in building a platform where I think every woman can just express who she is without being censored in some way or another. Look, if we own our space, we can do what we want in it. And that's how it has to be.
I love this so much. And every one of my clients, so I currently am supporting about 70 clients, and every single one of them knows about Skirt Club. It is a conversation. It is part of, honestly, it is part of the curriculum, because we have a specific month where on a 6-month journey, we spend 1 month in particular talking about sensuality in every form. And we talk about everything. And often women report to me, and a lot of times these women are 40s, early 50s, telling me, I've never in my life even been asked these questions. I've never even been able to have a conversation like this. And yet this feels like the most natural conversation. Once somebody facilitates it and opens it and begins, there's so much. I never knew where to go with this. I wondered if something was wrong with me, that I had these thoughts, these desires, these feelings. It's unbelievable. And so then we naturally, as we talk about resources, we have all these things that start coming and percolating in us. And I love to give women resources to what they can do next about these things that are percolating. And Skirt Club is one of them. And I just love so much that there is a place for women to explore this. And because think about anything else. You start to have a little desire that maybe you want to get into ceramics. There's a place to go and explore that. You think that you might be interested in, I don't know, building sandcastles. There's probably like a local place where you can go and do that in a beach. Almost anything you could ever want, you can learn about, and in this really neutralized playground. And where would that ever be? Because a lot of the lifestyle clubs, I have clients who are involved in a variety of different things, but those are always co-ed.
Yeah.
There's not a space.
Every single one.
There's not a space for a woman who thinks, I believe I may be bi, or I'm at least bi-curious. Where would you even go and try that on for size?
Exactly.
Right?
And, there's a slight distaste to the man suggesting that he comes along to help her experience that,
Yeah.
Which actually was one of the reasons why I started this. I had a very accepting boyfriend who was just thrilled that I was bisexual because he was going to have a threesome every night.
Isn't it amazing how they automatically insert themselves into that equation? They think that you being bi means they get to partake in that. They can't fathom a world where they're not in the picture.
Yeah. Oh, the audacity, and it just summed it up for me. And I'm glad he did that, because I just went completely in the other direction. Okay, these parties are for women only.
Yes.
You'll never be invited. Yeah. And until we're ready to invite you personally, privately into our own space when we want, you will never experience this.
Right, because so many places men have started open, and actually even a lot of places not even allowed women to partake in and be a part of. So I love that it reminds me of a ramen noodle bar outside of Tokyo that a woman in her early 30s, a businesswoman, opened. It was just like a couple of years ago. And it was the first noodle bar anywhere in Japan that had ever been for women only, opened by women. And what she went through to even get that, it took her years and years of fighting to get
just to eat ramen.
Just to eat ramen, because the women are still to this day, I believe, in most parts of Japan, women are not allowed in ramen noodle bars. It's a man's world on their lunch hour. And she said, absolutely not. Women want this. But the men protested that you can't open a women's only noodle bar. So
God.
It's things like this that make me love when a woman's like, I'm going to open this thing. And as a matter of fact, it's only going to be for women. Because I do feel like there would be, and I love men, but I do feel like there would be a sacredness that would not exist if that space could not just be female energy.
It's very special alone. Women behave so differently when men are not around.
Okay, give me some examples.
Well, for me, it turned out to be the best social experiment of my life. And just recognizing the difference it made not to have a single man in the room. And trust me, I get emails galore. Like, there must be 10,000 men on a wait list to be the bartender, to take the trash out, bar back. One of them just said, look, I'll wear a dress. Nobody will notice. I'll just stand in the corner. I'm like, no, they will sense you immediately.
Immediately.
Yeah, it's not, they have to see you. Like, they know you're there. And whether it's you, it's the way everyone else starts behaving because you're there.
Right.
And unfortunately, we do that.
Yeah.
It's just ingrained in us. It's the way we were raised as young girls. And I'm just trying to shake it out of every woman I meet by being not that myself and setting a new example of how to flow.
Yes. It's so interesting because I was just presenting an event in Mexico City a couple of weeks ago, and there were it wasn't my event, obviously. It was this very large attended event, and naturally there was a lot of the camera crew were men. And there was a particular practice I wanted to take the women through, and I paused and asked for all the men in the room to leave. And it was like, well, we can't leave because we're operating the cameras. I'm like, and this part's not going to be on camera. I'm asking all of the men to leave. And there was a man in particular who was sitting in the front row who'd come in with his girlfriend or wife, whoever she was, and he pretended to not hear me. And so I finally went and like pointed right out to him. He's like, no one will notice. They'll get started. And I said, I'm going to have to ask you to leave. And he was not happy that he'd been asked to leave the room. But he was the final one left. And I know other women were noticing, but still they were willing, I think, to proceed thinking, well, it's just one. When he left the room, and those doors got shut and locked, something changed energetically in that room. The women's postures, they started cheering. It was like this feeling of like,
oh, we're free now.
Yes. I think there is endless, I mean, not that you're probably so overwhelmed, but I'm thinking there is endless data and research, and not that you're doing this for that reason, but I think we could learn so much. Similar to Wednesday when she did her work, I think that we could learn so much from what's happening in those rooms. Like you have a treasure trove of, I'm sure, stories and experiences that if and whenever categorized or told in some way, I think could be so revolutionary as yet again, more data, not just theory, not just, well, that seems like maybe possibly that would happen. Real data to back and show, oh, this is what happens behind closed doors for women. I imagine it would just liberate even more permission slip, more freedom, more, okay, there's not something actually wrong with me, this desire that I've been having. Wow, so many ideas, so many thoughts.
Yes. Behind the scenes at Skirt Club, there's a lot of stories there.
Okay, so as we begin like wrapping, I want to hear from you. What is one of the most unexpected stories?
Okay, there are two moments in my 10 years that I've held on to as a moment of complete like thrill of achievement. There was one scene it was a hot tub outside of a penthouse in New York, and this penthouse was sort of Tribeca area, so the view was incredible. It was lit up. It was night. And there were at least 50 women in this hot tub, and the steam was coming up, and nobody was talking because everybody was making out. And it was just the sound of the kissing and the splashing of the water. And there was also, and there was a lot of just very sort of grounded, sensual sort of, it's like a humming noise that came. Yeah. I thought something was wrong, so I went to look outside because I couldn't hear them talking anymore, and then I saw the reason. And I was like, this is what they need. It's so healing, actually, just to feel touched and admired and desired and held, really, and accepted. That was beautiful. Another moment was, because most of our venues are on 2 floors, and the naughty stuff or the good stuff happens upstairs.
The best stuff,
yeah. I remember, like, I'm usually downstairs entertaining whoever's unsure. So talking, sharing a glass of champagne or something. And I went up the stairs to, just to do my walk and check on people, walk around, etc. And it was a hot night. And it was the scent that grabbed me as I halfway up the stairs. And it just took me aback. And, like, if I could bottle this, it would be a magic potion. Yeah. It was pheromones.
Yes.
And again, no talking, just sound of love.
My gosh, and freedom.
Yeah. Yes. Just to enjoy our bodies for what they want, and not to question why.
Yes. I would be so curious. I wonder, and I don't know how we would ever possibly know this other than maybe polling the women, but I wonder how long it takes the average woman to finally remove herself from here and really drop in and just let her body lead the rest of the time.
That takes a while. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, you want her to stop thinking as soon as possible. So we're very, very good on the entertainment because it gives them something to focus at. And then she leaves her mind about the what ifs and she moves into the how to become. And everybody's just enjoying each other's company too much to. And I noticed that everyone's talking, but nobody's like listening to the words. They're just sensing each other's energy. And so much more is communicated through here and through here. So it's nice to I catch them sort of like watching. They're looking at each other's lips, but they're not listening to the words coming out of them. You know, it's a nice thing to witness.
They're assessing like, oh, I think I'm feeling really safe now. I think I'm feeling like I can actually step into this. And
the guard is down.
Yes.
And she feels safe.
Yes.
And honestly, that's probably the only way women can orgasm.
Oh, absolutely. So for our listeners who are really leaning in at this moment and saying, I want to learn more. I want to find out how I can become a part of Skirt Club or just dip my toe in and see if this could possibly be something for me. Where would they begin?
Come straight to our website, skirtclub.co.uk.
Okay.
We're a UK company.
.co.uk.
Yeah.
Yes.
And you can learn more there. And also come to our Instagram where you can learn about the things that our members have to say. Some of them are brave enough to go on camera, but not often. So you'll hear a lot from us and the team and the different ambassadors around the world about how their evenings have gone and what they're noticing with the members there and the cultural vibes. As you can imagine, it's so different around the world, right? I love the Germans. They're always the most different, so they give us a new flavor.
I hear this. I hear that the Germans like walk around naked for their dinner parties, like just regularly.
Yeah, that would be just normal. Yeah,
I did not realize this.
Yeah, well, Berlin especially, and Hamburg. I'd say they were the most open, and the rest of the country is a lot more closed.
Okay.
So it depends where you go. A lot of our members in Munich would prefer to fly to Berlin for the weekend than have an event in their hometown. So there's no chance of bumping into anyone. And they're keeping their private lives private. So that's how they go about it.
So that is an option. If they are a member, they can fly to a different country, different city to partake. They don't have to live in...
Of course. I mean, I think that's probably one of the thrills. And I have a lot of CEO-type members in LA that'll fly to New York for the party rather than go to the one on their doorstep.
This makes so much sense. I did not realize this. This is really important differentiator.
Yeah, they don't want to fish in their own pond.
Right, right. Okay, so the German culture, particularly Berlin and Hamburg, are the most
super open
and free.
Yeah, in the most ethical way. And then the Frankfurts and the Dusseldorf, that they're much more closed and very still very shaming. You know, it's interesting how diverse it can be. And Germany is a huge country.
Yes.
I guess with the UK, you know, it's only really London that's out and proud and so diverse. But you get little pockets of smaller towns like, say, Bristol or Manchester where they have socials and then they pluck up the courage to come together to take the train down to London and experience a party, you know. So, yeah, and they come together as a group, which is nice, you know. It's
absolutely like we're all going in this together.
Yeah, and like a hotel, and you know, it's like a proper girls' weekend.
Yes, like the most ever, like the best sleepover party weekend togetherness, femininity, sisterhood of all time.
Yeah, with your new BBFs, your Best Buy friends.
Yeah, your Best Buy friends. I love this. Genevieve, you are such a breath of fresh air. I feel like it's so wonderful to have proximity to someone who has really created a society of women to be so liberated, so free, so self-expressed, and do it in a way that just keeps expanding their potential. And I can only imagine as they experience this, what other doors and avenues this opens up in their life. When they are able to shed this, what other things are they able to step into and claim? I can only imagine this is like a vehicle for even more connection to yourself.
It's exactly that. And I'm so glad you see it for what it is. You know, this is my mission, to have her open all the doors to the life she wants.
Yes.
And we're going to start with sex.
I'm so thankful you exist. I'm so thankful that your own desire led to, as it so often does, right? Like we as women, I think humans in general, we notice where there is something missing societally or in the world. We create it oftentimes for ourselves, and then it turns into like this revolutionary experience. So thank you so much for the work you do for women on behalf of all women. Please check out Skirt Party, a mini skirt party. I think that it is an opportunity to really open something that you might not even know is maybe laying dormant in there somewhere. Thank you so much.
Thank you.